After returning from my 6th trip, I decided to give up the idea of doing other trips. Having reached the age where I need to rest more, I promise myself that it is not my fault to continue taking risks that I have experienced many times. You should only think about a peaceful life for the rest of your life. One day while entertaining some friends, the servants came to tell me that an official had come to question me. I left the dining table to greet him. He said, "The emperor sent me to summon you to meet him." I followed this official to the palace and knelt at the emperor and number 39's feet. "Sinbad the king said I need you. You must do me a favor." He brought me a reply and these gifts to King Sinbad. It is necessary to respond to the king and number 39's courtesy. The emperor and number 39's command was like a thunderbolt to me. "O commander of the believers," I said, "I am ready to do everything you command, but I beg you to consider that I am tired of all the unimaginable hardships that I have had to endure. Furthermore, I was also cursed to never leave Baghdad again." On that occasion I also told the king all the details of all my adventures, and he also took the trouble to listen without missing a single detail. When I finished telling him, he immediately said, "I confess, those are truly strange events. But anyway, because you love me, you should not refuse the trip I requested. Just go to Sinbad Island and complete the mission I gave you, and then you will be free to return." But it was necessary to go because he also clearly saw that it would be impolite and unworthy of my position at all if I could not repay the king of that island. Seeing that the emperor insisted on forcing me to do that, he knew he could N39 do it. I could N39 resist anymore. I had to show my willingness to obey. He seemed very happy and gave me 1,000 sequins as a fee. I prepared for the trip, which took only a few days, and when they brought me the gifts and the letter written by the emperor himself, I left immediately. I went straight to Balsora and got off the train. The wind went smoothly, so we soon arrived at Sinbad Island. I presented to the officials my assigned mission and requested to see the king immediately. They happily helped me immediately. They solemnly brought me to the royal palace. While kneeling and bowing according to the ritual, the king recognized me. He was very happy and softly exclaimed, "Ah, Sinbad! Welcome! I swear to you that from the day you left, I will always remember you. Thank you for today because we meet again." I also congratulated him, and after thanking him for his kindness to me, I presented him with the emperor and number 39's letter and gift. He received it with great joy. The emperor sent King Sinbad a complete bed covered with gold fabric worth up to 1,000 sequins, 50 robes of precious fabric, another 100 of fine white cloth from Caire, Suez, Kufa and Alexandria, another bed in dark red and another in a different style, a dwarf agate vase 1 knuckle thick with a mouth half a foot wide, the bottom embossed with a man kneeling on one knee, holding a bow and an arrow ready to shoot at a lion. Finally, the emperor sent the king a luxurious table that was said to have been left over from the time of the great Solomon. The content of the emperor and number 39's letter is as follows. In the name of the Lord who leads the righteous path, I would like to send to the mighty and happy emperor the greetings of Abdallah Harun al-Rashid, whom God placed in an honorable place after his eternal and glorious ancestors. Show. We were delighted to receive Your Majesty and number 39's letter and would like to send to Your Majesty this letter from our court, the flower garden of great wisdom. We hope that when your Majesty comes to visit us, you will see our goodwill and that your Majesty will be satisfied. Hello. King Serendib was very happy to see the Emperor return his friendship. After a short visit there, I asked permission to say goodbye, but it was not easy because of the King and number 39's attachment. But in the end I was approved, and the King, before saying goodbye, also gave me a gift of great value. Without any delay, I got off the train with the intention of heading straight back to Baghdad. But I could N and #39 achieve what I always wanted. My fate still depended on God and number 39's decision. After traveling for about 3 or 4 days, we were attacked by pirates. They had no difficulty mastering the ship because the ship did not have any preparations to deal with it. A few people on the ship who tried to protest were killed by them, and I and the others were enslaved by them. Dawn stopped Scheherazade. The next night, she continued, "Oh, your Majesty." She spoke to the Indian Emperor. Sinbad continued to tell what happened on his last trip. And quote, "After the pirates robbed them, I was naked. They threw us dirty old clothes and forced us to wear them, then took us to a big and faraway island to sell. I fell into the hands of a rich merchant. As soon as he bought me, he brought me back. The house gave me food and clean clothes, the clothes of a slave. A few days later, because he didn't and #39 know my background, he asked me if I knew any profession. I answered that I was not a worker but specialized in it. Doing business. The pirates sold me after plundering all my goods and possessions. He asked, "Tell me, are you skilled in bow and crossbow?" I replied that it was one of the subjects. I played with him when I was young and still remember him to this day. So he gave me a bow and some arrows, put me on the back of an elephant, behind him, and took me to a very wide forest. About 2 hours away from the city. We went very deep inside, and when we felt we could stop, he told me to get off the elephant. Then pointing at a big tree, he said, "Climb up that tree, and aim to shoot at the elephants passing by. This forest has many elephants. When you shoot down anyone, let me know." Having finished speaking, he left the food for me and turned back to the city. I hid in a tree all night but didn't and #39 see a single elephant. But the next day, as soon as the sun rose, I saw a large herd of elephants. They passed under the tree. I raised my bow and shot continuously. Finally one fell down. Immediately, the other animals shivered and ran away, leaving me free to report to the owner. He treated me to a hearty meal, praised my archery skills, then went into the forest and dug a big hole to bury the elephant I had just killed. My boss said he would come back when the elephant was rotten to take its tusks and sell them. I continued hunting elephants for about 2 months, and it wasn't and #39 many days that I could N and #39 kill one. It and number 39's not like I just hide on a single tree, but today I and number 39 am in this tree, tomorrow I and number 39 am in another tree. One morning I waited for the elephants to arrive and was extremely surprised to see that instead of them going through the forest, past my hiding place, they all stopped and rushed towards the tree where I was, their running feet shaking the whole place. Ground. They surrounded the tree with their trunks raised and their eyes looking straight at me. Looking at that strange and terrible scene, I was so paralyzed with fear that both my bow and arrows fell to the ground. The herd of elephants looked at me for a moment, then the biggest one, probably the leader of the herd, walked over and used his trunk to wrap around the tree trunk and twist it so hard that the trunk of the tree was so big that it was uprooted and thrown to the ground. I fell along with the tree trunk, but the elephant reached out its trunk to catch me and gently placed me on its back. I sat scared out of my wits, my arrow bag still dangling from my shoulder. That elephant immediately led the group and took me to a clear place, put me on the ground, then he and the group turned around and walked away. Do you know what my condition was like at that time? I thought I was living in a dream. After a while of lying on the ground, without seeing any elephants, I sat up and found myself on a rather long and wide hill. Elephant bones and ivory piled up. To be honest with you, what I saw made me think a lot. I secretly admire the spirituality of this animal. There is no doubt that this is the elephant and number 39's cemetery. They intentionally brought me here to let me know and stop killing them. The reason for doing that is just to get their ivory. I didn't and #39 linger on the hill any longer and immediately turned on my heels and headed back to the city. After a day and a night of walking, I arrived at the owner and number 39's house. On the way, I didn't and #39 see any elephants. I guess they retreated deep into the forest so that the road from the city to that hill would be unobstructed. As soon as he saw me, the boss exclaimed, "Oh? Poor Sinbad. I am very sad to know what happened to you." I went into the forest and saw the tree uprooted, the bow and arrows scattered on the ground. After trying to find him to no avail, I was disappointed that I would never see him again. Tell me again, what happened to you? Thanks to some luck, he is still alive. I have satisfied your desire to understand. The next day we both went to the hill and he was extremely happy to admit that what I said was completely true. We loaded on the back of the elephant. We laughed to reach the hill, all the tusks it could carry. On the way home, the boss told me, "Brother, I Don and number 39 want to treat you like a slave anymore, after what you just did for me. This discovery will make me rich. God will give you all wealth and prosperity. I declare before him that I give you your freedom. I have hidden from you the things that you will hear from me." The elephants in the forest here kill many of the slaves we send to get ivory every year. No matter how much you warn them, sooner or later they will be killed by those clever animals. God has freed you from their ferocity and blessed you alone. This proves that He loves you and He needs you so that you can do good things in life. You have brought us a huge benefit. We have obtained the ivory up to this point thanks to the sacrifice of the lives of slaves. And now, this whole city is rich thanks to your work. Don and number 39 think that giving you back your freedom will fully repay you. I want to give you even more wealth to make it worth it. I could mobilize the whole city to participate in building your fortune, but that is an honor that I want only me to enjoy. With those gracious words, I replied, "Boss, may God bless you. The free gift you gave me is enough to repay me. To repay me for helping you and the whole city, I only dare to ask for your permission to return to my homeland." "Good," he said. "Soon ships will follow the monsoon to eat ivory. I will send you and the things I give you to take home. I thank you again for my liberation and for your good intentions towards me." I stayed at his house to wait for the monsoon to come, and during that time we went to the hill many times, causing the warehouses to be full of ivory. All the city and number 39's merchants dealing in ivory did so because they could not hide the discovery for long. At this point, Scheherazade saw that the sky was brightening and stopped talking. She continued the next night and told the emperor, "Oh, and quat. Your Majesty." Sinbad continued to tell about his 7th trip. "The ships," he said, "have finally arrived, and my master himself chose the ship for me to board, loading it half full with ivory. The train considered it my share. He also did not forget to bring a lot of food and drinks on the train that I needed for my hitchhiking trip. In addition, he also forced me to attend sumptuous receptions and receive strange local products." After thanking him wholeheartedly for all the tet work he had done for me, I got off the ship. The ship anchored and began to surf, and the story of being enslaved and then being released was so strange that it made my mind was in shock. We stopped at a few islands to replenish fresh food. Our ship departed from a port on the Indian mainland. We also arrived at the same port and stayed there. To avoid the risks at sea all the way to Balsora, I loaded my ivory ashore and decided to go by land. I sold the ivory for a very large sum of money. With that money I bought many rare and precious things as a gift, and joined a very large merchant group. The journey was long and arduous, but I tried to endure it with the comforting thought that it would not be a storm, a pirate, nor afraid of snakes or other dangerous accidents that I had experienced. But then all those hardships were over, and I happily returned to Baghdad. First of all, I asked for an audience with the emperor and a report on my embassy trip. The king said that my long journey made him worried, but he always hoped that God would not abandon me. When I told him the story about the elephants, he seemed very surprised. He probably wouldn't and #39 have believed it was true if my honesty had not been known to him for a long time. He found this story and the other stories I told very strange, so he ordered one of his scribes to copy it down in gold letters to preserve it in the royal archives. I took my leave, very satisfied with the honor I had received and the gifts he condescended to bestow. Then I completely devoted all my attention, all my favors, and all my time to my family, relatives, and friends. Thus Sinbad ends the story of his 7th and last sea voyage. Then he said to Hindbad, "Hey, buddy. Have you ever heard of anyone who has gone through as many hardships as I have, of anyone who has fallen into such extremely dramatic situations? Is it fair that after so much work, I can enjoy a pleasant and peaceful life?" After he finished speaking, Hindbad came closer and kissed his hand, saying, "I must confess, sir, you have gone through so many hardships and dangers that are truly terrible. My difficulties and hardships are nothing in comparison. If it makes me tired or depressed during the time I have to endure it, to compensate and to comfort me, I have already gained a small benefit from it." Not only did he deserve to live a peaceful life, but he also deserved to enjoy all the wealth he had because he knew how to use it worthily and generously. Please continue to live in joy until the moment of death. Sinbad gave him 100 sequins, accepted him among his friends, told him to quit his job as a porter, which was too hard for his age, and come eat at his house, giving him something to rely on to remember Sinbad for the rest of his life. Seafarer. And quat. Scheherazade, seeing that it was not yet dawn, spoke again and began to tell another story. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.